I'm a fraudster, and I'm going to scare the living daylights out of more than 1 in 5 of you. Your online password is...
Adding numbers, capitals and symbols makes your password stronger.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hello, welcome to this Moneybox podcast. Buy now, debt later. How spreading the cost of buying can lead to you being chased by debt collectors. And the Teachers' Pension Scheme demands thousands of pounds back from a pensioner on benefits, even though its error led to the overpayment. But first, £500,000 stolen in 3 months, but the police seem to be doing nothing except sending round victim support. The money was lost by Naveed Saghir. He has a master's degree in computer science and runs a successful home cinema business in the northwest of England. But between May and August, he handed over more than £500,000 worth of Bitcoin to thieves, believing they were investing it for him. And Naveed Saghir is with us. Naveed, I know you responded to an advert on YouTube. What did it offer you?
Hi, yes. Hi, Paul. It was basically for trading, on the stock market with, stocks and shares. So it all looked legitimate. It's on YouTube, so you fill the form in and, you get a call and it all started from there.
Right. And what did you see? Did you see your money mounting up? You really thought you were making money?
Yes, at the start, it was obviously building up, and I even played it cautious with the account manager, so to speak. It was like, let's just keep the trade small. Let's not be greedy. I want to build this up over time and make it a legitimate business. And initially, it started really well.
But you say keep the trade small, but you did put, first of all, £18,000, and then when you ran out of that, you transferred Bitcoin worth £500,000 over 3 months. Did no warning bells sound in your mind?
It's so difficult. Looking back now in hindsight, it all looks, so clear that it was a scam. But at the time, you're so into it and you're analysing it so deeply that it just doesn't register, It's one of those, I'm a human being, what can I say? I've run a successful business and look what's happened.
And you run a business, as I said. How are you usually with money? Are you careful or are you a bit careless about it?
No, I'm careful, but also you take the odd small risk. You test the market. When you do some advertising, you dip your toes in. When you try a new product, you dip your toes in. You keep it small and build it from there. So I did the same with the trading. I started off relatively small. As he crashed the trades, I had to put more money in to try and get it back up, and it all spiraled from there,
Yeah, so that was the story. They told you that you're losing a bit of money, put a lot more in, then we'll make a lot more money. Now, you have reported this to the police, and as I mentioned, they referred you to victim support. What do you think they should be doing?
They should, due to the large sum of money, they should assign an officer high up in the police or the crime agency, the government, to my case. All I get is ring 101. You get the automated text from submitting it on Action Fraud. You want victim support. I've got enough family and friends to help me on the emotional side. I need an officer as a British citizen to help me.
Yes, I mean, Action Fraud did say to us that your case is being assessed by the City of London Police's National Fraud Intelligence Bureau, because presumably it's a lot bigger than just you, Naveed. What would you like them to do?
First of all, I'd like somebody to actually give me a phone call, somebody high up in the police department needs to give me a phone call, and I need to be invited down to London, and I will get there and I will do anything to get the attention and to work with the police. I'm not hiding behind anything. I'm willing to do anything and travel anywhere for it.
OK, well, stay with us, Naveed, but with us too is Lisa Forte. She's founder and partner at Red Goat Cyber Security and specialises in this kind of thing. Lisa Forte, this is an investment scam, basically, but it cost Naveed Bitcoin, because that's what he used to pay with, worth more than £500,000. What can he do?
It's very, very difficult when it comes to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's not regulated by the various agencies around the world. So in the UK, we have the FCA that regulate these sorts of things. Banks have a lot of oversight over transactions, where money flows. You can see where the money is moving between accounts. All of that is removed with Bitcoin. There is very, very little consumer protection at all.
Yes, but you say banks can see where money flows, but as I understand Bitcoin, every single transaction is logged on a public document, a blockchain, and you can in fact see where this money is. And I think Naveed knows where this money is, but he can't get it because no one will tell him who owns that account.
Right, and this is the problem from the policing perspective. It's actually very, very easy to hide where Bitcoin has come from and mask it in such a way that the police would never be able to prove that the Bitcoin that you had was actually nefariously appropriated, so stolen from somebody else. That's what makes it so difficult.
So it's difficult, even though it's all recorded, it's difficult to track it down. Now, Naveed said he'd like a police officer assigned to it, and I think if he has one, then he may find out a bit more about where this money is. Is that going to happen? Is that how they work?
I would say that it's very, very difficult for the police in this situation. You know, it's incredibly difficult for them to find anybody. And even if they do find that person, let's say they were in Russia, for example, you're never getting the Russian authorities to comply and go and arrest this individual. It makes it very difficult from a law enforcement perspective.
Yes, and from a consumer perspective, if you have money that you've paid falsely through a bank, and Naveed did pay some through his debit card, he might get that back. But because this is Bitcoin, there is no similar right. You can't go to anyone and say, hang on, I need redress, it's partly your fault.
Correct. Yeah. And that's one of the major issues with it. You know, there's lots of advantages to it, but one issue is that lack of consumer protection that over the years we have established in the financial sector. So,
I mean, obviously avoid this kind of fraud, but never ever pay in Bitcoin, I suppose, is the answer. And just going back to the police, I mean, this presumably isn't just Naveed. If they're defrauding hundreds, thousands of people, we're talking about a multi-million-pound international fraud. And the National Fraud Intelligence Bureau is looking into it. Is there a chance they are actually looking at the bigger implications of this?
Yeah, I'm sure they are, and I'm sure that this is something that's very much on their radar. It's just one of those sort of crimes that's actually incredibly difficult to police at a national or international level.
Is there anything regulators can do? I mean, the US regulator, Gary Gensler, head of the US Securities and Exchange Commission, said just a couple of days ago, that it was the Wild West out there for crypto assets. They need regulating. But is it even possible to regulate them?
I think they were developed in such a way to actually run counter to regulation, actually. So I'm not entirely sure that it's consistent with regulation. I do agree that this is the downside to that, though.
And just briefly, they are becoming more popular, crypto assets of various sorts. More people are using them for all sorts of things. What's your advice about how not to become a victim like Naveed did?
So the first thing I think is make sure you research anything that you're going to put your money or your Bitcoin into. So, for example, Naveed mentioned YouTube. We trust YouTube, but YouTube don't control the adverts that are put on its platform. So if you think, oh, this advert must be legitimate, it's on YouTube, it may very well still be malicious. It may still well be a con. So you have to do your research into those reliable sources. Make sure you understand what Bitcoin actually is and how it operates, so you're not being sort of confused and putting money where you shouldn't be putting it. And finally, if anyone says they can make you loads of money quickly, that should always set off alarm bells, because that's not how the stock market works and it's not how investments work.
Thanks very much, Lisa Forte. And Naveed, you've heard Lisa's views. What's your reaction? Has it helped briefly?
Yeah, my reaction is I get the bit about Bitcoin. I know the risks. The bit I don't agree with is how the police can't find out the IP address, the domain, which there's still an active fraud trading website. We've all seen it on TV when there's a terrorist attack in the UK. In 10 minutes, the top level police and security departments have found out where it's coming from. They could literally do the same for me.
And you believe they could do that for you. And of course, as Lisa said, be very careful whenever you go for investment or indeed use Bitcoin. Naveed Saghir, thanks very much. Lisa Forte, thanks. 1 in 10